Hi, I'm going to do a simple video on how to do a basic freeze and fuse. This is the project that I'm going to show you. This is the mold that I use to create these daisies, and I really like them. They're very textured, very defined, and when I get done with the freeze and fuse daisies, I put them into sun catchers, which I'm planning on doing a video on those to show you how I complete the sun catchers. I want to stress very much about safety, about using a mask when you're using powdered glass. Getting that into your lungs is very harmful and can do some serious damage. Also, using some form of eye protection is necessary. So we're going to do this mold, and I want to show you the tools that I use to work with the powdered glass. These are just basic straws, and as you can see, they are tapered at the end to help control the flow of the powder as it comes out. And then I use toothpicks, and then I use a battery-operated toothbrush to help vibrate the powder down into the mold. So we're going to get started. First I start out with the stir stick straw, because I want to put some yellow into the center of the flowers, and because it's such a small amount that I'm going to put in there, I need a small straw so that I have good control. So I dip some powder out, I tap it to dust off some of the powder that might be hanging on the end, and I just slowly tap it into the center of the flower. And I make sure that the powder is higher than the level of the mold, because it will condense itself when it gets wet. I push the powder down with my finger to make sure that it fills in that area. And then we're just going to make a white daisy. So I'm going to use the large straw because I want volume. All I'm going to do is to fill in that cavity. So I gently tap the white powder all the way around the mold, trying to encourage it to fill in the edges. Once more, I'm going to put in more powder above the silicone mold, because when I use this toothbrush to vibrate the powder, it's going to settle down in there. And you just gently tap it on the mold to encourage it to go down into the creases. You don't want to get too crazy with it, because then the powder just scatters all over the place. So once more, I'm going to add just a little bit more powder to the top, because when I add the water, it will condense and sink down into the crevices. I just add drops of water all the way around the edge of the mold until I get a shiny surface on the top that shows me that it has plenty of water. And then I go ahead and I use the toothbrush to vibrate it down again. And as you can see, it's kind of got a shimmery surface to it. There's plenty of water on top. I'm going to go back with some powder, and I'm going to put powder around the outside edge of the daisy, because I want to encourage that powder to get into those crevices of the mold. And as I do that, you can kind of see that the water is being wicked into the powder, because I'm adding more powder. And then I take the toothpick and I run it along the side of the daisy, encouraging it to go into those creases there. Now I have just a little bit too much water on the surface, so I'm going to take a little paper towel and I'm going to wick some of that off. You do want water on the surface, but if you get too much, it gets sloppy, it flows over, it just makes a mess. I'm going to vibrate it a little bit. This is what you want. You want that shiny, shimmery surface on top. You need that water because that gives the mold strength so that when you pop it out, it's got enough stability to it that it's going to allow it to come out without breaking. If you don't have enough water in it, the refrigerator, being a defrost, will pull the moisture out of the mold and it'll become dry and brittle, and when you go to pop it out, it'll just break apart on you. So I'm going to show you what it's like if it's too dry. I'm going to wick the water off the surface, and what you're going to see is dull, flat, chalky looking powder. That's too dry. If you have it looking like that, you're going to end up having a dry mold when you go to pop it out, and it's just going to break apart on you. I'm going to add some water back to this. I'm going to vibrate it to make sure that the water is mixed it with the powder, and I'm going to put this into the freezer for roughly about 2 hours, and then I can take it out and put it in the kiln if that's what I want. But I usually try to make several of these daisies and put, several of them in the kiln at one time. So I will go ahead and finish the other 2 daisies, but when I get done and it's frozen, I can put it in this Ziploc bag. I use a cardboard in there to help for some stability, but if I can protect it from getting too dried in the freezer, I can hold it sometimes overnight, and I'll pop them out of the mold, put them into my Ziploc bag, seal it up, and then the next morning I should have, I don't know, 10, 12 daisies that I can put in the kiln and fire them all at one time. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of these 2 molds, and then we're going to put them in the freezer, and I'll have a video showing you how I take them out of the mold, put them on the fire paper, and put them in the kiln, and what schedule I use for that. If you like this video, and that way then I'll know that this was beneficial to you, and that I will go ahead and continue to try to make some more videos. I'm planning on doing one with powder versus slurry on silicone molds, and also on the various different silicone molds that are out there, and which ones I found were successful and which ones I struggled with. Thanks.